Big up, guys. This is a different intro to what we have right now. And it is a sad day and it's a hard day within the Arsenal community as we lost a brother, a gooner himself in Stephen, a friend of many within this community. I just want to send out my condolences to those who were close to Stephen, that got to know him. And those who only ever seen him or passing by within a YouTube stream as well, and to those especially his friends and family, those who are suffering right now. So I just thought to take this moment just to send out my condolences to those affected. And I just wanted to say I met Stephen a couple of times. I met him through a brother and a co-host of the show King on this channel and on King's channel. And it's sad to see another one go, but go subscribe over to Stephen Featley's channel, please, people. ST Featley TV, guys, go check that out. The link will be in the description. And yeah, rest in peace and send out my condolences. And also, guys, there's two other things that I just wanted to mention as well. A fellow member within the community in Peeny Ween, who you see a lot of the time in the comments sending out love. He's struggling through a bereavement as well within his family, with his mother passing. So I'm also wanting to be here to take this moment and time to send out our love. And I want you guys in the chat also to send out love to someone who's always in here, showing appreciation and always trying to make us laugh and smile and trying to make us have a good time. And he's going through it right now, guys. So if you could just send out your love to him, whether it's on this stream or if it's to him, if you've got him on Instagram or anything like that, anywhere that you speak to him, guys, please send out his love. And if you are watching this, Peeny, I do send out my condolences to you as well, my brother. I'm always here for you and take the time that you need as well. And also to our brother King, who his daughter is not feeling very well at this moment in time. And guys, I'd also like you to send out love. And it is a difficult day. And he's going through it, especially as well, with him being so close to Stephen and his daughter as well. So guys, please, let's use this community for some good and show some love and spread the family, the community that we have here at the TTF, and let's make it like a family as well, guys. And send out my love for you as well, King. And yeah, let's get this started. This is the Arsenal show, where we will be talking about Leicester versus our win at Leicester and a look ahead to Arsenal versus Everton on Wednesday. Wagwan, everyone. I hope you're doing well and welcome back to another Arsenal show, another victory for the mighty Arsenal. And I am joined by some, I say special guests. They are standouts. They're the OGs of the community here. And you know who I have on this co-host, as always, is my brother Wilf. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm feeling it because firstly, condolences to all of Stephen's people. They must be feeling it now. But especially going out to my boy Peeny. I've been there, I feel it for him. And he knows that the love is out there for him. But I just want to say it out loud in the public eye. Also, my boy King. There's nothing worse than when your babies are sick, man. And just bless, love, much love, so much love and the hugs. And we're here for you and thing, man. So puts things in perspective when these kind of things happen. You know what I mean? So, but especially King and Peeny, big love to you and condolences to all of Stephen's friends and family.
Exactly that. Well said, my brother. And for those who if you haven't come across Stephen's channel before, the reason why I tell you to subscribe is because he's due to his passing, it was through his liver disease that he's had for a long time, and he has used his platform to raise money for charity and raise awareness as well for those suffering with liver disease. And that's why I do tell you to go subscribe, people. Go check it out. The link, it will be in the description. I'll put it right at the top as well for you right now so that you guys should be able to see it. And do subscribe to Stephen as well. And just show your support to his family and for the cause that he's set his life goal for, really. And he's given himself a purpose, and that was amazing. So big up to Stephen for what he has done in his time on this earth. But also someone who knew Stephen as well and had many a debate when talking about Arsenal. It's our brother of the show. It's our man Moss. How you doing, my bro?
I'm doing okay. We're winning. We're keeping it going. And I think the best thing ever would be, not only we're there for the great times when we're going to win this trophy, win this league again for the first time in a long time. And that's all that Stephen ever wanted, is that we win things. And his passion, maybe it bumped people the wrong way sometimes, even me. But it was all about getting Arsenal back where they belong, back on top, winning things. And really feeling for King. I met Stephen through King. King, man, I don't know how much he helped Stephen. I don't know if I did a little with some difficult streams and chats over time and into the World Cup there, but King's a great man, and I hope his family gets healthy and just know that you do a lot of good, King, and you did a lot of good with Stephen there, and Bargav and Miss Molina, Luca, so many guys that are part of TTF and been there with Stephen and worked on streams together, and they've been doing it way longer than me, like even longer than Tereak, I think, like 3-4 years they were going at it, Stephen and his friends, and he was, like you said, you put it all great, so I won't keep going, but his channel, I'm a member, it's just strictly that money going to liver disease in the UK. But if you're not in the UK, I mean, support liver disease or a good charity in his name or in his thoughts in your own community. And it, about just being good. I mean, he shone the light on lots of other charities too. So big up, Stephen, and we're thinking about you, buddy. And I hope his family has good peace with this.
Exactly that. Well said as well from you as well, my brother Moss. And yeah, it is difficult times, and it puts a lot of it into perspective for all of us in terms of we don't know.
Enjoy the great times, but be there for each other in the hard times too.
Exactly that. Well said, guys. Really appreciate you and really appreciate those words as well. And I'm sure a lot of people in the comments do, as we'll get into the comments, and a lot of people in here, as King says, prayer goes out to Peony, Stephen and their families as well. It helps to have a community like this with lovely people and support. Big up yourself, Tony, in here as well, who's sending his prayers and his love out too. And no worries, King, no worries at all. Big up yourself, G Staffy, who's in love for Peony. Big love to King as well. Ed also showing his love out to King as well.
Trying to get my hair like my son when I was young.
Yeah, I know. It's looking good though, Moss. It is looking good.
It is looking
real good.
It is exactly that. You should be happy you got a full head of hair, lads. Yeah,
getting a little white though. Getting
at our age.
I hear that. I totally get you. Ed's in the place as well. It says evening, Mark.
Yeah, I was with him last night watching the Man United game. Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
I got to hold my hands up. Congratulations to Ed and all the Manchester United fans. I'm not here to take away from you.
Trophy's a trophy. Trophy's a trophy.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Exactly. And I remember when we lost in 2011. That was hard.
It hurt. It hurts.
Bad.
If you lose a cup game, it hurts, man.
Exactly. It does hurt. That one against Birmingham. It was hard. It was definitely difficult. And because we was in that trophy drought at that point, and then we lost it in such dramatic fashion. And hey, that was the League Cup. So I'm not going to say too much. So congratulations to Man United. You deserved it in the end, really, in terms of taking your chances and defending stoutly. You have to give it to them.
You know what? I have to say the better team definitely won that game. I thought it was like as most games are, the first goal was going to be important. If Newcastle had scored it, I think they might have held on to win the cup. But their problems are being highlighted by that in that game. You could see their issues.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Very true. And their goal scoring issues and not really be able to create too many chances. Yeah. It's true. But you know what? Casemiro, what a signing that was for them.
He's such a leader, eh? Such a leader.
Yeah. Oh,
I know, but we're speaking too much on United on this Arsenal show.
Ed, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But exactly. Big up to everyone in the chat. And speaking of teams that deserving to win, there was no team that, in this Leicester versus Arsenal game, there was also a team that deserved to win. And I put in the title, Defensive Masterclass at Leicester. We'll get into the details of it. But initially, I just want to ask you, Wilf, what's your feelings on those 3 points? And how important do you feel like this is for Arsenal to get back on a roll?
To be honest, the last 2 games have been massive, especially in the manner that we gained those points. The Leicester game showed another side to us that we can grind out a 1-0 to the Arsenal. We can control a game and make it count when we need to. We took our chances. I still think we got robbed with the Trossard goal. He definitely deserved the goal. And just the overall performance, the calmness, the maturity that it's showing in this really young team, because people forget it's a really young team and it's a really young manager. It's probably the youngest team and manager across all 5 leagues at the moment, and how much they've grown. All these kind of games, especially like the Leicester game, because you know what, Leicester can score goals. You know what I mean? They've shown they can score goals. It's just they've been leaking stuff, and yeah, it's games like that and the Villa game that we're going to look back at the end of the season when we win the league, which I believe, that we're going to look back as pivotal games, as games that showed our character, and that's what both those games have done. They've showed our character.
Exactly that. Moss, how about you, man? You was doing the Goal Rush show. How did you, for me, when I was watching it, because I had my nephews around, you see, so I couldn't really I tried to pay as much attention to it as much as Jacob.
You're saying you've watched it 2 or 3 times now?
yeah, exactly. It felt tense, it felt nervous, but I did watch it back, and it kind of, it's the emotions of a fan, how you felt. So how did you feel watching that game and in the end?
You're exactly right. When I look back at it now, it was like, man, we dominated. They didn't even have a chance. What was I worried about? But when I was doing the show, it felt like, man, they're not counting these goals. They're not giving us the pen. Trossard, like, what the hell? And I was going irate until you showed me that Ben White was chicken winging the goalie there and keeping his arm tucked in there. But I don't know, like, if we're going to re-ref games and stuff like that, like Odegaard's in Old Trafford, it's getting to be a little silly. But still, yeah, if the ref misses it and it's a glaring mistake, that's what VAR is there for, control glaring mistakes. But yeah, when I was in the moment, I was like, man, this feels like everything's not counting. They're all of a sudden just going to nick a goal on a penalty or something crappy and tie it up. But no, we got the 3 points. That's the best thing possible. And I think Harry, you guys love Harry. He was on 90 Min this morning and he was controlling the show or whatever, head of the show. And he didn't talk about Arsenal right till the end. And he was just like, it felt like one of those where it's a champions win. Like, he just found a way to get the 1-0 and get out of there on the road,
I think Luke.
By the way, that's not Luke. That is it's too positive. You know what I mean? That's not it.
Perfectly.
I'm not buying that.
I'm joking. I'm only joking. Luke, you are spot on.
You're right. It's
He's taking it around Moss too much. That's what it is.
No. It's a robot. It's a robot.
Nah, but Luke explains it perfectly.
The TPG's getting to Luke, I think.
Yeah, he explains it perfectly here. He says, I thought we controlled that game excellently. Arteta at his best is able to manage like both Graham and Wenger as well. So definitely agree with you there, Luke, in regards to that.
Yeah, that's a good show.
Well, perfectly said. And do you know what? Let's talk about now. We'll throw back to you as well, Moss, and then we'll go back to you.
Just want to interject one thing, but because what you were saying to Moss, it's always going to be nervous when you watch Arsenal live. Because you want us to win and because we don't know what's going to happen over the 90 minutes. But when we look back over the game, that's when we see
we dominate.
How well we done. Yeah,
exactly that. So
sorry,
true, very true.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. No, that's all good. You are right. You're bang on in that. And let's talk about the lineup. So how we felt. We'll go to you, Moss, first, and we'll go back to you, Wilf, in terms of it. So this was the lineup that we saw initially start. So we had Ramsdale in goal, as per usual. White, Saliba, Gabriel Zinchenko.
Oh, I like how you did that with the countries.
I knew you'd like that, Moss. You got Jorginho in the middle, in at the base. He kept his position with Thomas Partey returning to the bench as well. So the big change, of course, that you can see was that Trossard was the one that came in for Nketiah. Trossard started the last game, so Martinelli came back in, but Trossard moved into that central position there. What was your thoughts initially going into that game when you saw it, Moss? That lineup, was you happy with it?
I was like, wow, MA's finally making a serious change. I don't know if Eddie maybe had a bit of a knock or he wanted to make him, still fresh for Everton this Wednesday. I'm thinking that's what it might be, that he'll start in Everton and, and fire him up, just like he did finally with Martinelli when a lot of us were calling Trossard to start instead of Martinelli, right away. And then when he finally did it, it fired Martinelli up off the bench, like big time. And I think it did with Eddie, and he'll come Wednesday, raring to go. I don't know if he'll keep with that false nine versus Everton. But what it does is there's so much more interchange, and that's what they say about Jesus, that he's always, and we saw it in the preseason, Creambone and Tereak, that Jesus is always switching with Martinelli, switching with Saka and getting with them and creating where they can go in behind and give an Odegaard room and stuff like that, that Trossard was doing some of that stuff. So, and it helps. And Eddie's by far maybe one of the best fox in the box type players we have. So I think he'll get right back in there. But yeah, I was just surprised he finally made that move. And me and Luke for a long time have been saying we didn't want to see Jorginho and Xhaka together. They'd be too slow. But no, they're veterans and they're smart and they fill the gaps the right way. And it's just on the counterattack that we'll miss Party so much. And I hope he's back Wednesday kind of thing.
And that's where I'll throw it to you, Wilf, in terms of that starting lineup, Trossard, and you could talk about his performance as well and what you thought. And that's and did you, because me and you, we've defended Eddie a lot as well in terms of his importance to the team and how well of a job he's done. I don't actually think he was dropped. I think it was more rotation.
I think he was
started like how many in a row? Like as a striker, starting that many in a row, it's tough.
People forget that we've been calling for Eddie to have a rest because he's played 90 minutes of every game that he's played since he's come in for Jesus. And we were calling before, we're playing Jesus all the time. We needed to rest him. You know what I mean? I think it was burnout more than because he's been playing well. A lot of people have still been giving him stick because he's not been putting the ball in the back of the net. But he's, those haters are going to hate Eddie because if he scores, he's not doing enough to in the build-up. If he does enough in the build-up, he ain't scoring. If he does both, then he should have got a hat-trick. So, the people that got Eddie agendas have got Eddie agendas. But we needed him rested. I was happy when I saw Trossard come in. I was happy when I saw Jorginho come in. And the reason why I was most happy is they were brought in to do exactly that. If something happens to Partey, then we don't have to rush him back because that was one of the problems we had last season.
Yeah.
Trossard mixes it up, gives us something different, gives Eddie a rest. And these are squad players. And that's what you do. You rotate squad players in games that you know that they can handle. It also shows that Edu and Arteta know what they're doing. Because when that game done, or when I saw the team sheet, I thought to myself, you know what? If we had Mudryk or Caicedo, I don't think they give the team what Jorginho and Trossard do this season. Maybe next season once they're bedded in. But these are, like you said, they're experienced winners, especially with Jorginho. But they're experienced players at the top level that we need to come in to hit the ground running, know what's required of them, and give to the team. And you see the hunger in them, because they know that they've come to a side with respect from the size that they are, coming straight into a title challenge. That gives you energy. That gives you chest. You know what I mean? And I had no issue with either of them dropping in. I mean, Jorginho, I'm going to say it, I'm glad that you changed my mind within seconds of the last time when we were on, within seconds of hearing that. He has been outstanding since he's come in. Because in the last Arsenal show, Tereak got me to take my Chelsea hating hat off, and I saw it was a good signing. I think our second choice players as my boy. I think our second choice players are going to be first choice winners or reasons that if and when we win the title, we win the title. I had no compunction about them coming in whatsoever, and it was brilliant that we could rest Eddie. I'm sure Partey would have played or would have been able to play, but we were able to give him that little bit longer to really not push himself, so he pulls a hamstring or pulls a calf or a groin or anything like that. So and they did, and the both of them did excellent. I really feel for Trossard because he got robbed. That wasn't a foul. If that was a foul, then we should have had a penalty with Saka. You know what I mean? Because that was a harsher, But VAR don't like us. We don't care. Let's jog on.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into that in shortly. Speaking of Trossard, I tried to get my thoughts on it. If he playing in that false nine position, I thought it was excellent, to be honest, in terms of what he was doing. He was dropping in deep, switching out to the left.
Goal and assist counted, Tariq. Everyone be talking about him all week, about FPL and that he was so dominant and player of the game, but it didn't count.
Do you know what, though? Danny Murphy here in the UK on Match of the Day, he did a little segment on him after the game, which was fair play to him because he didn't grab the goal or like that, but he got the assist and he still got something to his name. And I thought it was excellent how he was dropping in and also dropping into that left channel. I think that, because he's more suited to doing that because he can go left and right, shifting it, and he can really maneuver the ball well. He has like a good turning circle, is what I say. And I think we saw a better Xhaka also in this game because he had that fluidity and he was able to make them runs deeper because Trossard would drop deep and he'd do it so comfortably and switch the ball out to Saka or Martinelli, and he did it so well. And that's where I thought, Xhaka looked better. There's still things I want to talk about in terms of Xhaka going forward.
I was saying to you yesterday, Tariq, that was the best game Xhaka played in probably 5 matches or so.
Yeah, for sure, exactly that. So it was important.
I think that has a lot to do with Jorginho because the criticism he faced when he was at Chelsea, I think you're seeing now it's because of the system and the team that he was in, because he's been so much more progressive, so much more front-footed, and all the things that were leveled at him about his mobility and this, that, and the other, he's in a system now that suits his football.
Yeah, exactly. And what I was just saying was, in terms of that, is like thinking of where Xhaka is playing at his best and what he has done so far is making them runs in and beyond. And we tried to find him. Zinchenko tried to find him a couple of times. He got into those positions, but sometimes he weren't making the right decision when he's trying to go for a cross instead of a shot. Those are still things that we need to talk about for Xhaka, but we did see him in those right areas, which is what we wanted to see from him. Jorginho, right, he's seriously outstanding. And a lot of Chelsea fans were talking before we signed him in terms of his passing ability, that he passes sideways a lot. That's because of Chelsea's system and Chelsea's issues as a systematic problem, not Arsenal, where he's been able to come in. He has his flaws, of course he does. Every player does, right?
Yeah.
And they've been negated because of how the team works and how fluid the system is, and that's really shown his strengths and his capability. By the way, defensively, Jorginho was outstanding as well, guys. Let's not forget that. He was defensively a stalwart, coming across, winning plenty of challenges. And I only really noticed this again when I watched it back the second time today. I watched the first half the second time today. I watched halfway through the second. But honestly, just the way he reads the game and how he overcommits, I think that's where some overcommits in a good sense, because when he does get beaten, he does look bad, but he's not actually, his intentions aren't to try and do that or look silly. He tries to go and win the ball. He reads it. He's such a good and intelligent player and reader of the game, Jorginho. And I thought he was excellent in that sense in there as well. I just wanted to ask you, we'll go back to you here, Wilf, in terms of Gabriel Martinelli. What was your thoughts on his performance on the weekend?
I think he's getting back to his best. I'm not of the opinion that he was as awful as everybody's made out. I think it's because his level was so high before and during the World Cup, and he's not hitting the heights. People's going, he's gone off the boil and he's not as good. Because remember when Saka started the season, everybody's going, he's not as good as whatever. It's because they've set their level so high. He's made the adjustment to playing with someone other than Jesus, and he's a young player and it's going to take time. I was happy with what he's doing. I've been happy with what he's doing. Yes, I could have wanted more, but you saw the way he took his goal. The boys still got his confidence there, because he could have squared that to Saka and he was like, no, this is my goal. And he's robust. He's hungry. He's still tearing in at man. And man's having to up their game when they're playing against Martinelli. And that is what you've seen in games where he hasn't been as effective, is more because he's getting doubled up now, like Saka was on the other side. He's like the Man United game. He was up against Wan-Bissaka, who's having the form of his career. And you've got to take those things into consideration when we're looking at our players and we're looking at other teams, because teams ain't just going to fold over for us. They're not good. They're fighting for their lives or whatever it is they're fighting for. Matt G, yes, Matt Smith. You know, they're not coming to roll over. They're coming to play against us. And so when our players don't perform as high as we expect, we don't put that into the equation. We just think, they're playing bad. No, they're playing against good players. These are Premiership players. You know what I mean? And I think he's going to be back to his best form in time for Jesus to come back as well.
Yeah. What would you have to add on that there, Moss? Do you agree with Peony? Peony, sorry. Would you agree with Will?
We're the TPG, the R3. You can
exactly.
all up.
Yeah, all us TPG look alike, innit?
Exactly. Hey, at least I didn't do a Brad.
No, yeah, I think what Chris said was right on. Like, I don't think Martinelli was ever playing bad, but he's got such good pick-me-up and levels when he's with Jesus. And I think Jesus obviously has been in training the last week or so now. I think it's picked up Martinelli, just him being around the team again. So who knows? Maybe he's even in Everton's, in the squad or with the team. I'm sure Jesus will be Wednesday. And I think it just picks all their spirits up. I think Jesus is one of those guys that unites, brings everybody up. And I think, being Brazilian, it really gets Martinelli's juices going when he's in there. And like you said, Trossard does a little bit more what like Jesus does and switches both sides and also the press, getting on it and working together. I don't think it was totally fluid and stuff with Eddie and Martinelli and Saka going as our front three. But yeah, I agree with you guys that it wasn't that bad, and it's just re-energizing, getting the juices going again, and Jesus coming back in. We're gonna look lethal again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the adjustment to the new players, that's playing with different players. We've all played the game, and I mean, me as a striker, I've got my favourite partner. I've always played with him.
Don't you think, Creambone, like throw Eddie right back to start now because he knows Jesus.
Yeah.
He knows Eddie can
100%.
take his spot, but throw him into
100%.
starting, and he's gonna give you everything on Wednesday.
We'll also get to that
100%.
as well, guys. Don't worry. But what I'm gonna say, you know what? I do agree with elements of what you're saying there, Wilf, in terms of he's a young player and he's still gonna go through dips and little slight dips in form, and you've still got to give him credit, even when he had those dips that he was still performing well. I do think though, with Martinelli, it was a systemic problem in terms of his form taking a big dip, and I don't even really think it's to do with him individually. I think it's Xhaka's not making those runs into the box.
How many low block teams were we playing? Martinelli's not going to like that.
But that's it.
And also the team was taking a dip as well, so it coincided with the team taking a dip.
Yeah,
not performing to the maximum.
That's what I'm saying in terms of the profiles, though, guys, because you have to look at the end of the day, the teams that we came up against, Everton side that were very defensively resolute and have been pretty good up until they played Aston Villa, of course. And they've been defense, and Sean Dyche has come in and he's really stamped his authority there in the defensive aspect. Brentford, who are one of the best teams in terms of setting up, and this is why you need those players to stretch them. And if Xhaka's not going in there and getting into those right areas, and most importantly being found in these deeper positions, then it is going to affect Martinelli's game. Against Manchester City, we had the ball so much on the right, but we didn't use it on the left. I remember we had Ed here during the watch along, and that's where it's telling you it's a systemic problem. It's not really to do with Martinelli because he's in the right spaces. He's always making these types of runs. And I've got an image right here because I was thinking within that first half, right, that Martinelli, I was thinking initially when I was watching, I'm like, yeah, he's not looking as good. I asked my sister, I was getting frustrated with him in terms of this, but these are the sort of positions here where he's not being found. Look at his run here. If those of you who are listening, he has got that defense on strings. They don't know. Christensen, the left back, has dropped completely deep. With Wilfred Ndidi, he's got his number, and as a defender, you never let a forward see your number.
No.
Wild Face is wrong-footed. He's planted on his front foot, so Martinelli has him, and we know Martinelli for speed. If Xhaka tries to pick him out, and he's got time and space to do it, he can be able to be found. Instead, Xhaka went and switched it, and that's kind of where I wanted to link it again.
That's such a good picture of our team. How look at our center forward, so-called, switched with our left winger.
Exactly.
The more left backs than center mid.
Yeah. And that's
and look where our left back is.
That's why we set up like that, because it allows these spaces and times, because you can't pick up, you can't man mark in these situations. And if we can find Martinelli a little bit more, and that's where, going forward, Moss, I'm going to ask you this, because Xhaka did play well. He did, and this was good for his game. But I'm almost looking ahead now, up against teams that we're going to come up against a low block, who we're going to have minimal opportunities like this to play the ball through. We will get them in transition and whatnot. I need my left eight to play that ball through there. What do you think?
Well, you know what I've been saying for weeks is I think Xhaka just becomes redundant. I've been telling all you guys, everyone in the community, that when we're playing low block teams, he's just standing around doing nothing. Zinchenko's buzzing around. He's even interfering with Martinelli and his outside stuff. And Xhaka's just standing there not knowing what to do when we're playing low block teams. And I think Xhaka's very important. I know you love him. Lots of us love him now. Against the big teams, I want to have him. His experience, his leadership. But, when we're playing some teams that are really sitting back, like maybe Everton on Wednesday, why even have him? Just play Zinchenko in there and get Tierney bombing up and working with Martinelli, or Trossard if he was there. But I just don't see how he helps us when we're playing those kind of teams in those games,
I slightly disagree with that. The fact that when okay, like you mentioned about you mentioned about Jesus.
But Arteta's not going to do it. Is my other thing.
No, I know that.
He's not going to take him out.
But in the fact of the low blocks that people are doing now, they weren't doing at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Because ever since it worked against versus Everton and a couple of other teams, teams are starting to do that now and sit even deeper than they would be originally because they fear us so much. Luke had a great question in the chat where he was asking if we were surprised about the low block. No, I'm not, because that's the fear in teams now playing us. That's what they have to do. They're trying to just stop us from scoring. They're not even going to win the game. They're just trying to stop us from just trying not to lose the game. And that when you're in teams' heads like that, it changes because there's very little space now because teams are sitting so deep. So if you saw against Leicester, at one point they had all their team like between the penalty box and the D on the 18-yard box. There's no space to there's no space for Xhaka to operate, and you've seen it in the last few games. And why he's been nullified is because there's 2, 3, and 4 players around him, so there's no space for anybody to move around in there because teams are so scared of us.
Exactly, I do hear that. And just to on your point that you raised there, I think you both are right in that sense. And you both, with Xhaka, Moss is right in terms of when we're coming up against these low block teams, you need someone with that a little bit of ingenuity, a la Fabio Vieira.
Yeah, and if it's not Zinchenko, maybe it's ESR or Vieira in the future.
The reason what I'd say to that, Boss, is why he doesn't start Zinchenko in that position, because he ends up in that position anyway. So that's
and you lose too much. You lose too much when if you take him out their left sided,
exactly,
their left back position.
Because that's kind of like what you want, really. You want your left back to have that free role, because if the system's working, Trent Alexander-Arnold was one of the best fullbacks in the world at once upon a time. Sometimes we forget, because the system was there for him and everyone was doing their jobs and role properly, and that's why Zinchenko gets that space.
You have a set fixed for your midfields are bombing and stopping everything. Yeah, and then Arnold. That's what we're doing with Zinchenko. You're right. We're just giving them freedom to go.
Consistent and also that consistency to do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So each game, they get more confident in that position because these are intelligent footballers.
Yeah.
So they know when they come up next game, okay, if the low block is like this, or I'm coming up against a player like this, I'm so used to this system, I can make my adjustments in game, which is ultimately what Arteta is going for with playing the same kind of same players, bringing in players that fit into the system. And once everybody, we said it in the All or Nothing, when they can blindfoldedly go, Xhaka's there, Trossard's there, whoever's there, then they can suddenly be free to make adjustments that other teams aren't prepared for.
Yeah, exactly. And then when everyone's there fit and firing, it don't matter if you're playing a low block, we're breaking you down. Because you said that about that teams weren't, but they actually were. Because I can remember one game in particular, which we struggled initially, but we broke them down. Fulham at home, they were playing a low block, and we was able to break them down. And West Ham at home as well. Straight after the international break, they were doing something similar, going long, and really trying to play it there. And so when we're fit and when we're firing, and when everything's going well, and everyone's picking up the positions, as you said, like when they're blindfolded, they know exactly where they are, then it works. So
but I'll put this to you: had it not been as successful versus Everton, do you think Leicester would have played such a low block? Because Luke alluded to it, that's not how they've been playing. I know they get battering and stuff, but I think teams have seen it because it worked once at Everton.
Yeah, you're right.
Teams
Because
are going
now
right.
everyone wants to
We're gonna,
try.
we're gonna go with that. Even though we've played against teams with low blocks.
Do you want me to tell you why? Yes. Should I tell you why? Because
Yeah,
it's
go.
us imposing our game. Manchester City played a low block to a certain extent against us, and Pep Guardiola was seething at halftime. He said about that. He said, "I hated the fact that we went long ball. I hated that, but that's because Arsenal are such."
And then he made that change. He brought in a Kanji. Silva went up the right and forward.
Yeah, exactly that. So that's because we impose our game so well. We're so good and so well drilled, and everybody knows what they're doing. Teams are all forced to sit back in a way. And if you and that's what they have to do. And you can see here in terms of the possession stats. I mean, not even the possession stats, the overview that we've got here, the field tilt. If you've never seen that before, guys, by the way, before I go into it, you need to check out Cannon Stats on Twitter. Scott Willis, you may have heard of him. He's been on other podcasts. FK has him a lot on Latte Farm and then the Arsenal Vision podcast.
I saw that on Latte Farm. That's right.
Yeah, remember to drop that in the WhatsApps because I won't remember from there. You know,
I defo, man, definitely. So so having a look at these stats here, the field tilt, you can see how basically what that means is how much how much we're dominating and how much of the field that we've got in our sense, and we've got 3/4 of that, and Leicester have just over a quarter in terms of the whole possession of the game. The final third entries is a big one. We've had more than double that Leicester did into their final third. Zone 14 touches. And this is brand new, and I know I'll be sounding like gibberish to those.
Zone 14?
Zone 14 is the box.
The final third.
Just that it's just before.
Just before the
It's in the
with a bit
just on the D.
penalty box to the
central part of the D. That's where the zone 14 is, and that's where that's where most teams score their goals. Whether it's a through ball from Erdegaard, he's probably the best player in the Premier League right now in zone 14. You know when he does that little, the little flicks around the corner into the striker, and so basically. Where Erdegaard made the assist for that, for Saka's disallowed goal, that's where Erdegaard dominates in zone 14. And that's why Arteta loves him so much. You can even see it there, the amount of touches that we've had it in there, 33 to their 7. Even the progressive passes, that's a lot goes to Jorginho for that there. And those are the key stats.
Passes, that's a big one.
Yeah, progressive passes. That's what you need when you're playing against these teams to really break through the lines. Jorginho and Zinchenko they've probably got more than Leicester, just them two alone. So yeah, it's good to see these stats. I do recommend you go check it out. Cannon Stats on Twitter, and they've got the link in the description as well. This is from where I pulled these things from. It's called The Debrief. I do recommend you go check it out, guys. And as you can see in those stats, the one that you saw Arsenal fans talk about the most, 0.0 expected goals.
For
me,
do
you know what? Because it hasn't happened since expected goals. Yeah, since expected goals came in 2017. That's
Ed must love that.
And and yes, I will say this now. Let me caveat early for those who are watching. If you're not, Maddison is a big miss for Leicester in terms of them from a creativity standpoint.
Like Casemiro was in the Man United game.
Of course. But for them to only get 0.1 expected threat, which is without them even shooting, but them just getting into an area. Exactly.
Had that only little
and that's where it's come from. That's where it's come from, Moss. So I just wanted to talk to you guys now about my man of the match here. And you can talk about his partner as well. But for me, Gabriel Martinelli. How Moss and Wilf, you've heard me talk about this guy a lot. I feel like he is underrated by our fans, and he's not really spoken about ever as highly enough.
Unless he makes a mistake. We don't. They don't speak about him.
That's what I was going to say.
It's almost like, it's almost like he's heard that grief he's been given and gone, really? Is it? Come, let me show you. Because I don't think Saliba has the season that he has without Gabriel Martinelli. I know, I saw that. I don't think he has. I I don't think Saliba has the season that he has, or is able to have the season that he's having without Gabriel.
Exactly.
You know,
You're right. No, you're absolutely correct.
No, yeah, I was gonna say that too, Creambone, is he's so solid and so consistent that it's only the glaring mistakes that anyone ever focuses on. And it's hard to ever give a guy like that a man of the match. So I'm glad I think Luca, a lot of people were. I don't know if some of the TV people in UK were giving him man of the match too, but I was like, yeah, since the World Cup, he deserves to get one because like he's been so consistent.
I don't think he's put a foot wrong because all his mistakes were pre-World Cup, I think.
Yeah.
Or I say mistakes. The things he got roasted for were pre-World Cup for most, and I don't think those were deserved. I know those deserved, but since he's come back, he has been brutal. He has been tough. He has been a wall, very Sol Campbell-like, and just he's calmed himself down. He's kept that back five.
The average person just doesn't see what he's doing to make our life so easy.
Exactly.
Make our life so easy at the back there.
And do you know how much responsibility he's got as well in that back line? Marshalling those channels.
He's a right mid. He's all over the place.
Exactly. Yeah. Mars. Do you know what I mean? Like, as Defenders Union here, and
doing a real good job.
Wilf as a striker, he'd have been licking his lips thinking, oi, look all this space down this channel.
Exactly.
Me and Moss are sat there like, hello. I mean, Zinchenko.
He doesn't let that guy get the ball. Yeah, he doesn't like that forward or striker get the ball even.
Exactly.
He's been sweet. Yeah, the way he's been coming across and cleaning up a man.
But that's where you have to have. And do you know what and this happens, and this is where we have to be honest now, guys. It doesn't get spoken about enough with black players in terms of their intelligence. We always speak about black players, and you know, with Saliba and Gabriel, with terms of their physicality, speed, and those things. But his defensive awareness is
football intelligence.
The only time it lacks is when he cares too much in those big games. And it's not because he gets exposed. It's because he tries to go above and beyond, and he tries too hard. A bit like Zinchenko does. It's when against Everton, he tried too hard to try and break them down. But it's not coming from a place of this is his weakness. Like his strength. That's also his strength, and when it's channeled right, and his intelligence and timing and how to make the tackle. It was vital for the first goal. He's the one who intercepts. Clips it out to Trossard, who then plays it into Martinelli, and we grab the goal. So, Gabriel, amazing, especially.
He nearly got another header goal, too.
I forgot about that. Yeah, good shout, Moss. Indeed. So, man.
How old is he?
24.
Seems like he's 30, but
24 years old. And he, we talk about Saliba playing with maturity, and forget Gabriel is playing like a 27, 28-year-old seasoned professional.
Exactly. And this is why I've highly rated him so much. And I said he could be one of the best centre-backs in Europe.
Was your man of the match? Yeah. Was it yours, Creambone?
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what? I would have given it to Jorginho. Just because he has impressed me so much with how quickly and how well and how easily he's fitting into this team, and he was making us tick. He was making us not miss Partey, and I didn't think there was a player capable of that. But Gabriel is a good shout. I'm not gonna throw my toys out of the pram.
Those are both awesome shouts, and I know there was people that gave each of those guys man of the matches too. Mine was Martinelli, just the fact that he scored. And he after the game on Twitter, he dedicated it to Steven, and that's his favorite player. So I had to say Martinelli was man of the match. Just being a classy Brazilian,
exactly. Moss, well, we can both say Gabriel was man of the match. Is that correct? We both agree with that. Gabriel, Magalhaes, Gabriel, Martinelli, and then hopefully soon, Matt G will be saying Gabriel Jesus, like we were at the start. We'll definitely get into that as well, guys.
Luke's going to the Everton match, so I'm like, come on, maybe Jesus will be on the bench, and you'll see him warming up.
Yeah.
We've got a few Zone 14 jokes here. So from Luke, Zone 14 is just outside West Ham on the London Underground map. He's right. I thought Zone 14 was one of those clean air zones, only electric cars are. You're right again. You are right. Indeed. I love you guys, honestly. Would have been perfect game for Madders to look flashy and do sod all, as Ed says. Yeah. He would have struck, it would have been interesting to see him up against Jorginho in those spaces, because he would have tried to marshal those spaces. But
I literally changed it from 2-1 to 2-0 when I saw Maddison wasn't in the lineup.
Yeah. Absolute no.
I don't have to. People, I'm gonna say this. I know we talked about him all the time, but Maddison versus Odegaard. Remember, everybody wanted us to pay all 80 million. Look at the players that they wanted us to pay 80 million for: Maddison, Modric, Caicedo. And would you swap with? I wouldn't swap any of the players that we've got now with them.
No, I wouldn't do that either.
I wouldn't.
But there's lots of people, Bobby and Luke. Lots of them said, "Well, we could play them together," but man, they both love those spots. Like, you got to admit, as a player, they both love that same spot.
That's what I was going to say, because because Maddison is in the Premier League and he's English, right? If Arsenal had, if the price was right, we would have signed him as well. It may
I'm not dissing Maddison. I'm not saying that these guys aren't good players. I'm just saying that
we got the right one.
Just shows it just shows that we know what Arteta and they do know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly that. It's you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal were looking at both at one stage, but they just didn't feel like the price was right at that. But they were so adamant. No. We need to get Odegaard. Like Maddison, yes, we can give him a miss or goal. Like he definitely improved our team, but we were so certain that we needed to get Odegaard. So I agree with you there in that sense. And he was. Do you know what? Watching it back again, Moss. Watching it. When I talk about Zone 14, which is where you can see those red dots right there, where we're about taking shots, Odegaard is out of this world in that area.
He knows how to play that area, and it's the hardest area to play.
I know. I'm saying this now, and this is no hyperbole. He's the best in the league at playing there. The players that Kevin De Bruyne doesn't play in Zone 14.
He tries to stay out of it.
He plays 15, 16. That's where he does, which is out wide, which is wider than those zones, where he whips.
I'd go further. Is there anyone better in Europe right now?
Lionel Messi, but Lionel Messi.
Really? I'm talking better. I'm talking about Zone 14 specifically. Yeah, I'm not talking historically. I mean, at the current moment.
And what are you saying in terms of overall?
Overall is, I mean, Messi's Messi, and he's got.
He doesn't do the running Odegaard does.
But I'm currently right at this moment, in the form that Odegaard is in this season. Is there
your mic battery went bad?
Wilf, your mic battery went bad.
Yeah. All right, let me. I'll shut them.
Yeah, you get that sorted. But I hear what you're saying in terms of his form and that right now. But for when I was just talking,
that's what I was always saying is that Odegaard's, for 2 years I've said this is the right guy. The way the systems are these days in modern football, you need an Odegaard that can unlock things and counterattack, but also. I think what you're also saying is create some turnovers in that final third too,
and that's where Odegaard's also elite, and he's probably one of the best in the world in his job, in his role, doing that. And in how he presses, how he presses. He's the second strike. He's the one. Like if the forward's not pressing, he's there, and he's always there to back up the striker in that sense. So if you're talking overall game, I hear what you're saying in terms of that. He's
But
definitely
yeah,
one of
Messi
the best in the world.
unlocks defenses like we saw yesterday, like no other.
Yeah, in zone 14, there's no one ever better than Lionel Messi.
Yeah,
Do you get me? Like
exactly.
in that area. So yeah,
Exactly.
and it doesn't matter how he could have no legs. He knows where to spot a pass.
What is this road record?
So this is what I wanted to bring up. These were some other stats that I wanted to talk about just before we get into some final topics that we'll talk about on this game, and then we'll go into the Everton one. So look at that record, guys, on the road. If you're listening and you can't see it, or if it's a bit too small for you, we've had 13 matches played away from home, won 10, drawn 1, lost 2, scored 25, and the best part for me is conceded 9 goals. That's ridiculous.
That's championship form.
And that is title winning form. Big up Squawker for that stat there. Our away form. Guys, do you know what, Moss? I wanted to ask you this year because how we suffered a lot, with our away form. I remember at the end of Wenger,
for years,
we didn't win any away. We won like 1 away game in 2 years. So yeah, what would you say is the biggest factor in us being able to play so well away from home? Do you think
it's the Arteta and the plan and but it's everyone's always asking for changes and stuff. No, he sticks to his unit that he's built. That he's developed in the offseason, that he's signed and he's made. We stick in, and everyone complained how easy it was to call Arsenal's lineup and Arteta's lineup. Well, that's one of the reasons we're so good at home. These guys know each other inside out. They know where each other's going to be. It just makes that everything slows down a little bit more because we are such a tight unit as a club.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on there as well, Moss, in terms of that, in our game management in these situations, because when you're away,
it's not formations, it's not being fancy, it's not making the subs at the right time. I know everyone gets on Arteta, and I do too, that he doesn't make the subs early enough. Or it's your unit, and these guys are acting like brothers, and they want to help each other. And one guy makes a mistake, they lift him up. You see Odegaard go do the chin up for Tomiyasu, things like that. They go a long way, man.
And the best one, do you know the example that was at Leicester? Do you remember when Leicester had a counter attack and then we suddenly had a sea of red come back?
Yeah,
Keane and Juice
were talking about that. Yeah, how quickly we got back.
Exactly. Yeah. Are you with us now, Wilf?
Yeah. Sorry, is that better?
Yeah, that's much better.
Yeah,
the AI left you. Did your battery die? Not their earphones, yours.
No, I think it was my battery. You know what I mean? I just had to get the nurse to come and just plug me in.
I understand. I get you, man. But the final, we will talk about the 2 big topics, and then we'll get into Everton as well. But the final stat I just wanted to bring right here is Bukayo Saka completed more take-ons than any other player in the Premier League in February. Too hot to handle. Some of the names on that list you won't be able to see. It's very small.
Yeah, he's crap, isn't it?
He's Alan St. Maximin. Alan, and we know he's a 1v1 monster until he faced Wan-Bissaka yesterday. He was immense, by the way. Hamad Traore for Bournemouth. He's been a very good signing for them. You've also got Alex Iwobi, Dwight McNeil, who we've got to have to marshal on Wednesday. Thought it's another reason why we should bring this up. Kamaldeen Sulemana, Jack Grealish, of course, Adama Traore, Willian, and Michael Elise. He's above all of them.
Ooh, Elise.
So I know, but I've got to say something about Saka. And I think it needs to be said. The amount of refs that look to give him a card, but you can do whatever you want against him is really starting to bug me. It's really starting to get on my nerves because the moment he touches a player, because it happened in this game and it happened in the Villa game, where he's having to put his hands up, go, ref, this is my first one or whatever, and I don't like it. Because if you're gonna handle him that way, if you're gonna ref him that way, then you've got to ref the players kicking him left, right, and centre.
Do you know what? I think this is an interesting point. And I was listening to the Arsenal Vision podcast, right? And they kind of went into it in a way that I never looked at it before. I know I've already kind of brought this up earlier on in terms of like with Gabriel and defensive and how we look at players. But how do referees perceive players? Because the same happens with Wilfred Zaha. And of course, what's the correlation between Bukayo Saka and Wilfried Zaha? But the same doesn't happen for Jack Grealish. And it's not about nationality because they're both English.
Yeah, they're both English.
Harry Kane, excellently said as well. Even Heung-min Son. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
that's a great point. And that's what I wanted to bring up today too, because 90 men, other people are talking about it. The Chelsea Tottenham, it was a terrible game, but the whole Ziyech thing, like, so we're always taught growing up when you're playing, you put the hand, in Casemiro, it happened, you put the hand on the throat, you're putting your hands, you're pushing, you're putting in someone's face, it's a red card. Well, Saka pushes a guy, there's pushing. You don't give it. So I don't know. Everything's so gray now. It's like, what's a yellow? What's a red? What can you do? What can't you do? The refs just gotta, like Trev's saying, is start. 1, 2, 3 fouls. Bernardo Silva, okay, yellow. Like already get a yellow, and then he would have been kicked out in the game we were playing because he went and grabbed Odegaard's shirt. But the guy let him foul Saka 4 or 5 times before he gave him a yellow card.
Yeah, exactly. And then when Saka's responding, because he's being kicked, then he's getting a card. And this is my thing. It's very, very poignant what you said about how refs view players. Because Saka's a nice guy, he's perceived to be a lovely guy and fella. It seems worse when he
reacts.
When he reacts, yet. You're allowed to kick him because he said, "Oh, we'll get on with it." It just no. It doesn't work like that because the amount of times that Saka's got cards for he get persistent fouls. He reacts and goes in and does a bad challenge to go. You know what? Come, let's go. And he has got a lot of his yellow cards from that.
Yeah, from his reaction, from not getting the foul. And England fans, if you're not Arsenal fans, so Ed, you'll be. But I know Ed, he watches football in a great way anyway.
It's the ref. The ref needs to take control of it and even go to the managers sometimes and say, "This is it." The next little pushing, the little, getting up or the harsh fouls, it's a yellow, and I got to do it because you guys are reacting to them.
England fans saw it when we played France in the World Cup. Guys, in that first goal that France scored, Saka got kicked more down to the ground. And then I saw a lot of England fans, who are non-Arsenal fans. Saka, he gets fouled a lot, doesn't he? And I'm like, hey, we watch this every week, bro.
It's way worse than the league,
But this is why I brought this conversation up, because it's almost like Saka is perceived as, he goes down a bit too soft, though. In terms of, I remember the Southampton game where he was booked for diving. He wasn't a dive. He got tripped over. And then against Aston Villa, he gets kicked again, like we did last year too. I remember that was brought up, and Steven Gerrard
the whole game
to deal with it. Stop moaning. Exactly. So this is what I do not like. And Zaha gets booted all the time. But Jack Grealish, when he gets tackled or yellow card, Harry Kane
straight away.
And this is what I'm saying about perception. And this is where we need to. This is the problem with our refereeing, right? And we're going to talk about more refereeing too.
Bruno gets fouled. He goes and rapes the ref until he does give yellows.
Exactly. And this is it. And this is what we're saying now in terms of how they view it and how they look at it, and how the FA and the PGMOL really need to have like a refresh within their system. And that's in education and even new referees coming in. I know they've got a crisis in terms of that right now because not many people want to become a ref. Thanks to you, PGMOL. The reason being they need to have this sort of education and training in terms of bias and how they look at it in terms of diversity and unconscious bias. I'm not saying they're racist because we do it ourselves, and every single day on a daily basis, right? We have a bias in terms of when we first meet people. It's like, for example. If I
have it with an accent, you will have it. Yeah, you will have it with an accent. You will have it with where you're from or whatever it is. We're humans. Humans have bias, and this is my issue with the refereeing because because nobody comes out and is accountable. Ref talk just like fans talk, just like players talk. Refs talk.
And when they're only accountable to each other, they talk about these things. Oh, this guy's dying. Oh, this guy's
he's making me. He's looking for a foul every time because both Saka and Wilfried, right? when they go down, they go, ref, come on, what's going on? And they do that every time. And because they do that every time, I've played in games where when I'm calling for it, the ref doesn't want to give it to you because you're moaning all the time, because you're having a go at me. Even regardless of seeing that, the reason why I'm moaning, the reason why I'm having a go at you is because every time I get the ball, I'm getting kicked. I can't go past this man because he knows I can't. He's not going to let me past him, and he's going to hack me down until you do something about it.
Yeah, exactly that. And I wanted to talk about, whilst we're on the topic of referees, it's a perfect segue. So thanks for bringing it up, Wilf. It's like you always read the script.
Right.
In terms of those, those two big decisions, right? I want to say three-ish. I'm going to say two.
Three.
Yeah, because because the third one we'll talk about that anyway. But the first one, VAR. You said you didn't think it was a foul for the disallowed goal.
I don't put it this way. What I actually said is, if that's a foul, then we get a penalty for Saka.
Okay.
Because he didn't actually impede the goalkeeper from getting the ball. The goalkeeper still got the ball. He still made contact with the ball. If that's outside the box, two other players and they're grappling hands and whatever, you ain't giving that. You are not giving that. Yeah. Benjamin White's not backing into him. He's standing his ground. You're not going to tell me that the keeper couldn't pull his hand away. If he had pulled his hand away and not been able to, then I'd give you that. But for me, that was ridiculously soft. And I think if that had been Ramsdale, I'd bet you any money that wouldn't have been given as a.
Do you know what? That's where you are, right? Because, and that's not even mean, victim mentality, as well. Yeah. Honestly, I can remember an example. Aston Villa,
right? Exactly.
Who's it? Boubacar Kamara's hugging him like I'm hugging his chair right now. Yeah,
right.
And he's got full.
And he can't get to the ball. Yeah,
he's got his
and he can't get to the ball.
He can't get to the ball. So that's why it's frustrating. But that's why, for me, it's definitely a foul, and it's just like how Ramsdale is. But that's the issue is, and this is why I can understand your frustration, Wilf. And this is where I'll say, there's no consistency because my word, I think that's definitely a foul. I think Harry Souttar should be red carded. Do you know what I say in terms of what he's done? Because whether it's intentional, it don't matter. He's taken Saka out. So that's the horrendous decision again.
This is the thing about that one. Yeah. Okay. Say for argument's sake, Souttar's tripped over.
Yeah.
He has put both his arms around Saka and dragged him to the ground. Yeah. Because fouls don't need to be intentional. Like when if you mistime a ball and you take a player out, you're going for the ball, but you mistimed it. It's a foul. Yeah. How the hell is that? This is the thing when I'm saying to you about the one on the goalkeeper, and you say goalkeepers get too much protection, but going back to Gabriel, when he had his shirt pulled pretty much almost over his head, Newcastle, and we're not getting that, but a little holding of a hand where the keeper still gets to the ball.
True.
You understand? You understand what I mean? And it's about consistency. I truly feel we're getting ref differently. We're getting ref different.
And you see, and that's the issue that they're making, right? Because I'm trying to look at it as an individual incident, right? And I'm saying, okay, that's a foul because of that individual incident. But the fact that you can come at me and say, well, I've seen this happen, I've seen that happen, and that's not being given as fouls for us, by the way. And I can't turn around and say, you know what? Because I thought those were fouls in it, so it's one of them ones. But the referees are making a rod for their own back. So as Luke says here, 100% Wilf. I said the same. Goal rush. These refs are doing my head in. Brentford's goal came from a free kick that should have gone to us because Tony once again did the whole wrap around.
What I'm saying to you.
What I'm saying to you is
that how is that? You can wrap your arms around our players.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want. And they're getting away with it. And look at the Man United. Look at the foul. I'm going back to the Man United game, the first Man United game at Old Trafford. That little something that Odegaard does, and that's given us a foul.
Exactly that. Exactly, spot on. But the fact they had to apologise for that says how.
Yeah, but then like Arteta said, I don't want apologies. I want the points. You understand what I mean? It's how it's so glaring that we're getting. Man got sacked. Man got sacked for mistakes, costing us points. Yeah, you look at those, and I know Peeny ain't gonna like this because he don't like what ifs and whatever, but we would have been what 8, 9. We'd have probably been about 10 points clear.
Yeah, 5 points.
Of Man City.
Us. Yeah,
right. That's just the ones that they've owned up to. Yeah, not the ones that we're talking about.
Not the Gabriel against Newcastle.
Yeah,
not the Everton one where he got tripped up in the box again.
Right, and all them
Southampton.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. This is just the 2 that they own up to. That's that. Imagine if we had a 10-point lead now after losing against Man City.
Yeah, totally. Right.
You understand? Yeah. It wouldn't be wrapped up, but the landscape would be. It would be, but I'm just having to say this but the landscape would look differently now. Yeah, nobody talking about Man City going on a 10-game run, blah blah, and which they're still talking about and whatever. What about us going on a 10-game unbeaten run or whatever? And this is one bugbear of mine that I'm going to say again. This everybody keeps saying, "Oh, this ain't the Man City team of old." They are in the fact of look at their points tally. Look at their points tally. If our points tally hadn't been as heavy as it is, they would be leading by they're on 51 points, something like that.
So 53, I think, because we're on 55.
53. Yeah. 53, right? That's nothing to be sniffed at. That's not a collapsed Man City team that they're on 50. They're on 55 points. We're on 57. That ain't no collapse Man City team. That ain't a Man City team that has totally fallen off a cliff and ain't going for nothing. Look at our points tally. Give us our respect.
It's true. It is true.
Yeah?
Spot on. But you are right. They aren't doing the 9,900 points like they have done. But they are still performing.
But that's a rarity. That's a rarity.
On course to get 90 points.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, which isn't bad at all. But big up yourself, JC, a Crystal Palace fan. He's looking after our boy Sammy at the moment. He says, he's saying Sammy is balling out, boys. Buy Rice, Caicedo, whoever. Just let us have Sammy, please. Big up yourself. Hey,
this is exactly what he needed.
JC.
This is exactly what he needed.
JC, my brother, I was on Eagle Eye Football with you. What did I tell you? I told you Sambi will work for you because he's not playing in a number 6. A lot of Arsenal fans have written him off, and I understand why, because when we saw him playing the number 6, that's just not him. But he's not. You got the Corey doing that, and he's playing in the 8. And look at him, he's looking press resistant. Do you know what I'm saying? He's looking really good.
And he's getting regular football and building his confidence.
Exactly.
Which he wasn't going to get with us. He was not going to get with us.
Because we're too competitive. That's why.
Yeah,
unless it's basically have an elite mentality, which I think Xhaka does, or an elite footballer with like Erdegaard.
Yeah.
Look at Fabio Vieira. He's not far off it, but he's not there yet. And you need to. That's where it is with Sambi. He's developing, and 40 mil. We're talking.
Yeah.
Nah. I know you won't pay 40, but
on that subject, there's something that again that's been bugging me. Balogun is doing his thing. Yeah, he's balling out. Why do our fans keep every time one of our young players starts balling out, we're ready to sell them, and then in the next breath wanting to pay 80, 90 million for somebody else when we got players here? You know what I mean? Next season, I want Eddie Balogun and Jesus fighting for that striker role because we got a lot of football next season. Yeah. Don't sell none of them, because if you sell one of them, we're gonna have to pay minimum 60, 70 million to get in a striker of any kind of caliber. And then they got to learn the system and all the rest of it. Why sell our young players to go and spend money?
Do you know what? Do you know what I would say? Where I'm going to give us a little bit of grace for our fans who say that. You are right. Essentially, we don't need to spend money. We don't always need to do that. That's not even the right way. We have such a good academy. We don't need to. But the reason why is because our sales have been so bad in recent years.
Yeah, I hear that.
They want to see us, do Liverpool what they did with Jordan Ibe and Solanke and whatnot. And make big profit on these players so we can get, the players that, we may sell players who are good and we may kind of regret it. Do you know what I'm saying? But we'll only regret it if the player that we bring in to replace them is not like at the level in that sense.
No, and I hear what you're saying, but we sell players are good players only if people come in with silly money, like we have to. You come in with a 80, 90 million offer for Balogun or Eddie, then yeah, okay, I'd hate to see them go, and I'd hate to see Eddie go, but yeah, that's fine. Okay, we can bring in to build that. But if we don't need to sell, don't sell. We're not a selling club. We don't need. We've got a young man like that who is balling out, is scoring goals. We sign them to an extra contract, a longer contract. We keep developing them and then bring them in, because you're not going to tell me Florian Balogun is not sitting there going, boy, next season, Arteta's not selling him. Next season, you're dropping into this team to do what you're doing for him. You're going to be doing it for Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. I hear what you're saying in that sense. So yeah, let's get on to the Everton game now. We've probably got about 15 minutes to talk about it. I've got my lineup here for you in terms of what I will do. Yeah. But you know what? I'm going to bring mine up first. This is how we're going to do it. I'll bring mine up and I want to hear your thoughts on this right here. So the only changes that I'm making for us against Everton. Moss is back as well. Perfect timing. So this is my lineup for the Everton game. No worries at all.
I got a phone call.
That's cool, man. No worries at all. So this is my lineup up against Everton that I've just
brought in.
So I'm bringing in Takehiro Tomiyasu for Benjamin White. I'll explain in a moment. I'm still keeping Trossard in that false nine position. I still think he needs, after his performance, he deserves.
You're dead to me, by the way.
I'll come into it. I'll tell you the reason why. And I've brought in Thomas Partey as well. So, of course, guys, those that are watching and those listening, you're thinking, what's Benjamin White done wrong? What's Jorginho done wrong? Absolutely nothing wrong at all. I'm thinking about Everton's threats, and I've got them written down right here.
And are you maybe you're also thinking, T, about Bournemouth and Europa?
Exactly that. So that's probably the last reason, in fact, Moss, but you are right. That is one of them. That is one of the reasons why I was considering that we do need to start making a little bit of rotation to get these players start going. But the main reason is aerial ability, aerial threat. Thomas Partey is, just naturally he's one of our aerial threats in the box, and Tomiyasu is one of our best players aerially also, which is why we've seen Tomiyasu come in for a lot of these games. So I'm thinking of Everton's, their problem, their issues that they can cause us. Also 1v1 defensively. As I brought up that stat earlier with their wingers, they do like to press it and they do like to try and complete plenty of take-ons, which Tomiyasu is very good at that, and that's why he came in against Jack Grealish. And if it wasn't for that mistake, he completely, he did what he did in that sense. If it weren't for the mistake,
I think Tomiyasu was one of the best one-on-one defenders, aerially and on the ground.
Exactly, and he's like, it's nothing against Benjamin White. It's not dropping. It's simply just for this rotation. Specific rotation and specific game that we've got here. That's why I'm bringing in Tomiyasu and Partey. The Trossard one, though, I know that one's up in the air for debate, but I just think that we saw such a more fluid performance, especially in the first 20 minutes in that. And because we're not going to be trying to cross balls into the box against Everton's low block anyway, I want Trossard to drop deep and try and pull out those centre backs. And if the centre backs don't go with him, we simply, once again, like we always do, is overload that midfield. And their physicality in midfield, you can have a Nana Decore Gay as much as you want. They're not keeping up with 5 players chilling in there. Do you know what I'm saying? So if we can get Trossard and Martinelli linking up again, and like we did for that goal, dragging them out of those spaces, creating gaps between the fullbacks, I think that's when we can cause problems. We'll go over to you, Moss. Will, sorry, we'll go over to you, and then we'll hear what you're saying, Moss, in terms of that.
I will let you have the Tomiyasu. I see where you're coming from, and I feel that. Yeah. So no problem with that, but it's a much of a muchness. I think if you put Ben White in there, he'll do the job. But yeah, I'll go with that Tomiyasu one. Yeah. Partey is Partey, a fit Thomas Partey. As much as I'm loving Jorginho and I'm loving what he's doing, a fit Partey comes in. If Partey's 100% fit, bring him in there. Leave Jorginho on the bench if you need to change something. Right. Trossard for Eddie, I'd put Eddie back in because of what Eddie does. Especially, I know it's going to be in a low block, but with what Eddie gives us as a hungry in the box, sniffing small little chances. I missed what he said. Put a loop back up. But no, I think he was agreeing with me on something. But look, okay, right. I think Eddie is more effective with that against that Everton backline, sniffing out a goal. And then bring on Trossard as we have been in previous games if things aren't quite working. But I just think Eddie, having had a rest, will be hungry enough, and he will be itching to get a goal. And I just think with that side, with Partey playing them balls, and with Odegaard and Saka, I just think Eddie would be more effective.
What about you, Moss? In terms of that.
Same idea. I kind of said that earlier, that I think playing Trossard the one time is good, and maybe we do it next on Saturday versus Bournemouth.
Yeah.
But right now I would bring Eddie back because he'll be fired up. Jesus has been training. Tross got the start instead of him. I would put Eddie back in. I'd probably I'm usually on you, play Tommy, but I think Ben White played pretty good, and I would give him another game against Everton. And then, at Bournemouth, I'd probably bring Tomiyasu in as well. But I'm always wanting to play, like you guys know, Zinchenko and Xhaka's spot. But for Everton, I think if I could pick, I don't think Arteta would do it. I would go Jorginho and Partey and give Xhaka a rest.
I want to see that. Yeah.
And play in Bournemouth and the Europa. And Jorginho give Partey a rest on Saturday, and in Everton, I did Jorginho and Partey and Odegaard together, and I would still start Martinelli, Saka, and Eddie up top.
That's a very good shout, Moss, because Jorginho and Partey, I see that as could be more effective against such a low block than Xhaka. You know what we were saying about Xhaka?
I want to have Jorginho's passing in there.
Yeah, him and Partey's passing. They can't stop both of them.
Yeah. I hear that. And do you know what? Essentially, I agree with you. But the reason why Arteta, I don't think, will do that.
Yeah, he won't do it.
Do you know the reason why, though? Because of management, in terms of if Partey or Jorginho and one of them went down with an injury, obviously none of us want that to happen. And you want to try and minimize that as much as possible.
Yeah.
We'd be in trouble with the games that we got coming up, with the amount of games, in terms of the fixture congestion, and then even the international break coming up. So I don't want to see a repeat of last season where we were left with no midfield at one point. So I think that's the big reason. Although when Partey did come on playing in the 8 position, I think we might see closing out games. I think that's exactly where we'll see it in terms of, if whoever's on the bench, most likely it will be Jorginho, because when Partey's fit, he'll start, he'll come on, we'll close out games. Partey may move up a little bit slightly into Xhaka or Odegaard role, and whilst we keep Xhaka on. But he just trusts Granit Xhaka so much, guys.
Or possibly even put Vieira in there, because the reason why I say that, and this is nothing to do with Xhaka's performance. I just, in that game versus we just played
Villa,
Leicester. Sorry, brain freeze there. He got battered about. He got hit in the head twice, and I just would like to, even though as robust and as a machine as he is, I just would like to see Xhaka get a rest. To give him that extra little bit of recharge.
Yeah, this man's such a tank, though. Like he don't.
I know he is.
Rest. No rest for the wicked. Yeah, I'm saying.
No, I know, and he is wicked. He is wicked at the moment. I would like
again starting in that Lisbon game.
Yeah,
and I think Vieira. This would be a time for Vieira, because again, you talk about the low block with Vieira's with Vieira's vibes, with Vieira's passing ability, with him, Odegaard, Partey, Jorginho, all them kind of man. Those are the kind of passing lanes that we need. That we'll need, those cute little balls that we'll need to break down that low block. Like you say, I don't think they could handle that at the Emirates. Exactly. Yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening, Rich. Yeah, jogger.
Yeah, I said that. We
played well for them, though. He's played
exactly that.
He's been quality.
Nah.
But the reason why I'm bringing in Tomiyasu as well, and keeping Xhaka in there for as well, Wilf. I'm looking at Everton, right, in terms of their physicality caused us a problem at Goodison Park, and it's different. We're at the Emirates. I do know that. But defending set pieces,
and new manager bounce as well, and
they're not playing. They haven't got a striker right now with Calvert-Lewin being injured, thankfully. So
again,
exactly, thankfully for us. But with that physicality that they've got, they're going to be playing for those set pieces, getting it down to you, McNeil's, getting it down to you, Olbies, playing for those corners, and. I don't want to, because we know firsthand playing against a Sean Dyche team, you give them a sniff of a goal, right? They'll just sit back, clamp, and then make it frustrating as possible. If we can negate that, and that will allow us to then still be dominant and throw our players forward, because we're not going to be worried about the corners or stuff, or trying to prevent long throw-ins and whatnot, because their midfields, like, it is a working machine in terms of Onana's. Like, then they're Fellaini now. He's making late runs into the box with his 6'5" frame. Decore, he's looking back to his previous best, I believe, in that sense. And I'm also looking at how much, and how much we're going to have to be competing against that. They're going to be trying to be really physical. Mikalenko's a good player as well, very good. And Saka's going to have a hard time up against him.
To back you up, Tereak, a bit. People always get mad when they bring Tomiyasu on for Ben White, and they're like, "Well, why is that even a change? Why are you even doing that? You're not making much of a change." I mean, Bobby complains about it a lot, but what it is, and that's what Japan did a lot too. You bring Tomiyasu in, because he shuts down, he intercepts things. He doesn't get beat one-on-one, and he stops counterattacks, and you keep the ball then. So it's not that you're giving up or you're sitting back or that he's not good enough offense. It's you bring Tomiyasu to shut down counterattacks. You're right, Tereak.
Eddie, look at these man trying to deal with us. You've got intermediary vibes.
They don't know how
exactly.
I told them they don't know how inflation works. It doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Hey, vibes. Look at he's been the intermediary.
I know.
Trying to work with
exactly
a £3 plus.
Add them two figures together, and then maybe add them two figures together, and then maybe we're talking.
I'm talking buying from another Premier League side, minimum 30,
Yeah.
minimum 5 mil,
Yeah.
lads.
And from his South London, he's practically English now because he's playing in South London.
You know what?
Practically English now, so English tax on that as well.
Exactly. 15 mil plus Elise on my hands there.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Then we got a deal.
I know they ain't taking that. I know they're not taking that.
Elise and 15. Yeah.
Elise 15. There we go.
15. We talk.
How about 15 for Vieira? Do you hear this? Oh, come
on. But they already they can pay us 15 for Patrick Vieira, yeah. Because we gave him them. We gave him Patrick Vieira. So yeah, you can pay us 15 mil for him. Yeah, we'll take that.
Exactly that. Just also looking at Everton.
But all in all, Vieira's gonna make Sambi settle. That special attention.
There's no foolishness
and
in
make
that.
him a man and make him believe again.
There's no foolishness on that because I mean, there's no way you're telling me that Vieira's not got connections at Arsenal when they're chatting about that. There's no way that
what Luke says. Blame Chelsea. What Luke says, Tereak. Blame Chelsea. Yeah. The market's gone up.
Daniel Levy blamed Chelsea already.
Yeah, exactly. Go on, Luke. Yeah.
But nah, I love it, man. Them love it. But just also talking about Everton, we spoke about best set pieces defensively. This is the only reason why I wouldn't start Eddie and maybe bring him on later on is when their defense gets a little bit tired. Is defending crosses. Like we're not going to be trying to cross the ball a lot into that area. Connor Cody, Tarkowski. That's what they're going to be set up for. That's what they want us to do. That's how Tottenham. It's similar to how Tottenham set up under Conte, by the way. They want you to cross the ball in because when they head it out, that's when they're able to counter.
Yeah. But I don't think that. See, this is my point. I agree that we're not going to be crossing the ball, and I think Eddie on the turn with them little through balls from that zone 14. I think Eddie's better at that because that's his game. He turns and shoots. It's not necessarily the cross because, you're going to be crossing and pulling back, but I just think
he hasn't scored too many from those situations though this season.
Yeah, but that's why this is where I'd make sure that I'd have probably Jorginho and Partey. Or Partey and Vieira and Odegaard in there to put those balls in. You know what I mean? With Saka and Martinelli still bombing down the side. And if we do need to cut it back, then we can. But those little on the half turn, with Everton running back to their own goal, those little through balls, I think Eddie's better there.
I hear that. I hear what you're saying in terms of that sense, but my issue with Eddie is the amount of touches that he gets in against these low block teams. It's not enough. It's like when we're playing up against
if he's scoring, he doesn't need them.
No, but that's if we're not feeding him the ball, then he's not going to get any touches, right? And against these teams, against a Tottenham, because they weren't defending so deep, because we was able to score, right? He got plenty more touches in that game. Against Everton, he barely got any. He got 20. Bearing in mind for a striker, like we're used to Gabriel Jesus is 60. Trossard, he got plus 40 in this game. Like this is against these teams where they're going to be setting up in these blocks. I want to see us try and create with that ingenuity. Why Manchester City was so much better at breaking down low blocks without a recognised striker throughout a lot of their period. And because of how Sean Dyche set up, it's a unique scenario, right? And against these unique teams who set up in such a way, we're going to need to try and find these little interchanges within these tight areas because they're going to try and sit quite compact. And that's what Eddie's best, right? And what we're seeing from him is when there's space, even if there's space down the channels, or when he scores his goals in any season where he's wearing the Arsenal red, is towards the end. Most of them is at the end of games. Whether it's equalizers or winners like against Manchester United, when he picks up that space in there, and when they're defending really deep, that's where I trust Eddie, and that's where I love him. But whilst they're going to be trying to be compact and trying to spring on the break, I want as much control as possible to wear them out for when Eddie comes on, he gets that space and slaps it in the back of the net.
I don't think Eddie's as effective coming on yet. I don't think he's.
I think that's a fair point.
Coming on from the bench. This is why I would start with Eddie, and then if things ain't working, Trossard now.
Trossard's so flexible. He could fill in just about anyone.
And him coming off the bench, after we've worn them down a bit. I think that's a better trade. You know what I mean? I put it this way. I'd play if this was Bournemouth, then I would say, start Trossard again, give Eddie a little bit more rest. But I genuinely think against Everton, I would play Eddie, and if come 60, 65, 70 minutes, then bring on give Trossard a half an hour or 20 minutes to do his thing.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it does go. Because
it's one thing to say what you want, another thing to what Arteta's going to do.
But this is
three matches in a week. That's a pretty quick turnaround. That Saturday, and then what is it? Next Thursday's the Europa, right? Away.
Away from home. So it's definitely
you got to play this right. You got to play this right. Maybe Jesus is ready on that plane trip to Lisbon. Maybe he's ready to start.
I wouldn't. I'd
maybe wait a bit, let him sub a few times, Creambo?
Yeah, for sure. We'll have to wait
because of the nature of how his game. I don't want him starting. I want him coming on and building up because he's so frenetic. He's so
back in that leg.
I wouldn't start him just yet, especially not in a game in Lisbon.
Exactly.
That is trouble.
You guys,
he's doing anything there. I like that.
You know it.
And Malteser does have more goals than Richarlison. Well said, indeed, Rich. Well said. Tereak wasn't born. Get lost. Oh gosh.
I'm not sure I was.
A real trophy, anyway.
Oh,
I don't. They deserve it, man. Let them have it. Let them have
the trophy. Because it's one of them ones. If you win it, you're lauding it. Yeah. It's one of those ones that if you don't win it, you're not that fussed. But if you win it, it's a trophy. You know what I mean? Ask any Tottenham man or Chelsea man for that matter. If it would, Man City didn't never took their eye off that. You know what I mean? They're vexed that they didn't carry on winning that. So it's a trophy.
Yeah, can't believe they lost to Southampton. But I think Man United would have beat. If Man City played Man United in that final, I reckon Man United would have beat him anyway.
Oh yeah,
just the fact they're perfect, man. They're the perfect team.
And I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna keep saying it till they're out of it. Man United are still in this title race.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In this title race.
They're in it until they're not. But guys, we're gonna wrap this up here now. But before we go, I want to hear your predictions. We'll start off with you, Wilf. I can't remember what I said. I think was it 2-0? I said, Moss, you're quite good at remembering my predictions better than me. Yeah. Did I say 2-0?
2-0.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I'm going with too. I just think, and everyone remembers when we played there. It's like, man, it started turning out into the worst game of our whole season. Yeah. But we didn't have that fire that first 20, 25 minutes that we've had almost every match this year. And so we got to come out at home and get on top of Everton, or else it'll just turn sour and dire quickly by second half if we're not scored. So, yeah, if we get that first goal, we'll probably get a second. I would go with 2-0 myself. Eddie starts and gets one. Eddie's back. Yeah.
I love that.
Eddie starts and gets one, and then maybe Trossard in the second half gets one.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe so. What about you, Wilf? What's your prediction? I like the fact you went with the scorers because I was going to ask you that as well.
Yeah. Especially if we score first, 3-0. I say Saka, Odegaard, and Eddie.
Saka, Odegaard, and Eddie, 3-0. Oof, I'll take that. I need Saka to score FPL reasons. Speaking of FPL, is Vibe still top? Is Vibe still top?
So, yeah.
Catching the hound dog. We're catching the hound dog.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Yeah.
Have you checked your FPL one? Yeah.
I'm second in Kings.
Vibes.
I think because I had a weird one because I obviously I couldn't change too many players and I had players injured and captains whatever. But I'm coming back. No, I've got a game ain't done now. Game state ain't done. There's a lot of football to play.
All right, Arteta. But yeah.
But what I am surprised at, shocked at, is the fantasy. I'm strong because remember I couldn't pick my team, and then you guys had to pick my players for me. But I've adjusted, and I'm coming after Una. I'm ahead of Moss, but I'm coming after.
Vibes is still top.
Draft. Tereak's top of the fantasy league draft, yeah. But Vibes is the top of the.
No, I know he's. I know he's
on top of.
I don't even know how you make changes, bro. That's sorry.
I know.
I don't know how you make changes.
No, mate. I actually think that with Tereak being up there, it's one of them like the Juventus thing. I think and the Man City team. There's stuff that's gonna come out that he needs some point deductions or something because man don't even know how to change team and. I think
they change it for him.
There's some sports washing. Yeah, there's some sports washing going on there.
Moss was like, you've been playing, man. Your team's been changing. I'm like, it's automatically when players get injured.
No, I think there's some sports washing going on there, man. Look,
Saka's my captain. Vibes is top of the Tereak Talks family league.
Right.
That one.
Okay.
And then you're in sixth, Wilf. I'm
you
in
still
seventh.
have Saliba, Saka, Darwin, Tarkowski. You have
because I thought he'd have kept a clean sheet.
I have Saka, Ramsdale, and Odegaard.
Do you? I've still got Bueno. Don't forget Bueno for Wolves. By the way, if we sell Tini or Tavares, get me Hugo Bueno. He's a baller.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I got Jota. Tavares has said that he wants to come back and fight for his place.
Good man.
Tavares has said he wants.
That's
Tariq. I got Jota against his old Wolves, and I got Salah still. Robertson. I used this week as my free hit.
Yeah, is it? Oh, you went for the free hit. Ooh, you're brave. You should. Like they say, you should go for it right after like this round of the FA Cup games when a lot of Premier League teams.
But I used the free hit because it'll go right back to my old team, and I liked it. So.
Okay.
But I was hoping I'd get more this week, so I really need Saka, Odegaard, Ramsdale, Salah, and Jota to get lots.
Yeah, I'm waiting to use my wild card. When I next use my wild card, that will be.
If you talk about me doing Juventus, brother, this is his first season of doing FPL. Yeah, and he's top. Nah, this is he's cooking the books. He's nah. First season.
Shout London thing, innit? Yeah, I've never done it before. So, I mean, so.
Now, Vibes is Manchester. He's a City fan, really. That's what he is.
Yeah, I know. He's whoa. That's that. Wow. Let me state now. I want to disassociate myself from any comments made towards the end of this program.
I hope you do. Don't worry, Ed did that for the predictions.
Awesome.
Yeah. Reported the video. Oh gosh, copyright strike. We're finished. I really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate everyone in the chat as well. It's been a ball. Big up yourself each and every time, guys. Really do appreciate it. And those who were in at the start as well.
Tariq have been like 1 or 2 points difference like every week.
I know. I'm level on with Wilf. It's true. But guys, now my guests as well. Really appreciate you for coming on, guys. You're not guests, but not.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. We're in the house.
Vibe, I don't know if you put it. Vibe said, yeah, that was nice that we did that. Or nice that Martinelli did that, yeah.
Yeah, Martinelli's gesture, exactly. It was very nice of him. And yeah, because
who thinks of that when you're a superstar? When you're a superstar, how do you right after the game think of doing something nice like that? That's
because they're touched into social media a lot, man. And that's what we want. And that's once again, as I said to you, the club, it's such a tight unit at the moment between the fans The players, they love it. They love us, and we love them, and that's why they were able to get in touch with them.
Good young man, that Martinelli.
Matt G, we love you too. We love you as well, Matty G, definitely. And see, all that rhymes. Sorry, I'm doing poetry again, like I did in the beginning of the
spitting bars, isn't it? Spitting bars.
You and CM need to do a little rhyme.
Little 16, but yeah, we'll do the eagle eye intro. I'll do the vocals, the harmonize. Yeah.
You and CM can do one for me and Luke.
Yeah,
I know my boy. I know my boy Ed loves the show because you're, in his words, you're such a brummy. You're such a brummy.
That's what he said. I appreciate you, Ed. I'm glad that you tuned in as well. If you're still here, if you're watching, if you catch any at the end of it, Ed, I appreciate it. This brummy's got a cold at the moment. No, he's living in the black country or the industrial.
There you go. Exactly.
Take care, Trav. Take care, Peony.
Now,
take care, everybody.
Before we go, Wilf, give yourself a shout out, man, and thank you for coming on, my bro. I really appreciate it.
No worries, man. I'll be in the Discord. You'll always find me here on Tereak Talks. Doing the Arsenal show. I'll be in the chat when they're doing a preview. Especially when Ed's doing it. But I need some more showgirls and pom poms and stuff when Ed's doing it on his own. But you'll find me here. Hopefully Tereak will drop the Discord link in again. It's as always, it's a pleasure. Lovely being on with my boy Moss. It's been a minute. But just before I go again, big love to Peony and King. We're always going to be in our hearts and thinking about it in our prayers. And like you said, condolences to Stephen's people, man.
Exactly that. Well said as well. We began with that, and it's good to end on it as well. And yeah, big up yourself for that, Wilf, and for Peony. Thank you for coming in, my bro. And if you are catching this later on, we still do send you that love. And bro, here he is. I'm glad that you're still here, man. Really appreciate you each and every time.
Where the cannon is, Peony. We're thinking about you, man.
Exactly. You're treasured man in the community, bro. We all love it. We all love to see you in here.
Really,
and that's why
smiling. Yeah. Smiling.
Exactly that, man. Always keeps us smiling. So the least we can do is just be here for you as well, man. And try and help you take your mind off as much as we can, because we know it is a difficult time at the moment. And for those of Stephen's friends and family, also, guys, make sure you keep King in your thoughts as well, people, as well. But Moss, boss, my brother, let the people know where they can find you and Luke as well.
Yeah, we started a new channel, kind of forced upon us, but we just like watch alongs. Even Tereak came and hung out yesterday. We were doing going back and forth AC Milan match and the Le Classique, the PSG taking it to Marseille. But yeah, we're just, if people just want to talk Arsenal and just come on, we're doing NHL or we're doing some other Liga game or something, just come on and talk. We're open for them. And yeah, Trav, he'll be on there and once in a while, and Tereak will. And
I'm mainly going to be on there to give Luke grief, but that's how we roll.
Exactly.
And I just want to give a shout. Bargav comes on my show quite a bit. He's a part of your TTF. He's always good to have in the chat, and he's struggling too with this with his best buddy there, Steven.
Bound to, man.
And he's just saying how he's never had to go through something like this, and everyone out there, it doesn't have to be online, it doesn't have to be in a show or whatever. Just reach out to people. Don't be scared not to, and sometimes just talking about your day or talking about football or talking about how it's affecting you, just getting it out sometimes is all you need. And so we're across the pond sports talk, and it's just kind of started up again. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to Tereak Talks and King's Football Show and Rich's Eagle Eye and help everybody and subscribe. And then when their shows and when they're online, and know when we're online, and always feel free to come in the chat or feel free to come on the show.
That's why it's a community. That's why it's all about the community.
Exactly.
We're there for each other. We're there for each other.
Just drop Moss's in the description right there for you people. Go give that one.
And Rich was saying, when are we all hooking up again? Well, Maybe if there's a certain parade about to happen and when
trophy parade vibes.
Yeah, exactly.
Before he starts thinking of something else. Okay. Exactly that. It's so true, man. And well said from both of you guys there, man. It's true. The community is massive, and it's just great to talk, man. And I enjoy this. I love this.
I've met so many good freaking Manchester United fans. I never would have thought that.
Exactly.
Part of Three Talks. I've met all these good people.
Mate, I've been trying to get rid of one. He was on earlier, Ed. I've been trying to get rid of him for like 20 years.
I understand, man. Hey, and yeah, go check out on Moss's channel yesterday. I was scouting Erasmus Højlund for.
Yeah, he wasn't as good as I thought he might be.
Nah, he wasn't either. And you was scouting an unknown star in Kylian Mbappe. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Arsenal. He had. Oh my God, he was cooking.
Yeah, we need to bring him into our academy, man, so he can grow.
To be fair. Him and Colsha Dewberry, that would work well together, I think. Yeah. You know what I mean? In the under 20.
Apparently, do you remember I think I dropped it in our WhatsApps the other day.
Mars Lewis, Mars Lewis Skelly.
Yeah, he had a blinder apparently because my brethren was at the game. He's a Liverpool fan, Roger.
Oh, yeah.
The under
18s FA Youth Cup.
Under 18s. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the
he's a Liverpool fan, but he's my boy from school. I know. But he said he put in a report and he said that the brother was must. He's probably get played again. He's
different gravy. Every time I've seen him, I just love how he drives through the midfield and just run like, if he's doing that at that age, imagine when he's bit bigger and a bit older. News about him today is coming as well that we're trying to get him signed up to a scholarship. So from not a scholarship, from a scholar to a pro. Sorry, because at the moment it's like the same with him and Nwaneri. They're trying to secure them.
The guy you said Tereak over a year ago. I've seen him in person. I've seen him on the under 18s with this run, under 21. The Lionel Sosa left back.
From West Brom. Yeah,
you said over a year ago, watch out for this guy. He's cooking now. He's cooking.
Proper. He's serious. And did you see his cross for the?
He was all over that match though in that quarter.
Yeah, and do you know what the best part? I want to mention this to you guys as well because I was watching the Chelsea. I watched like the first 30 minutes of the Chelsea Arsenal under 21s. You do know that the Arsenal academy mirrors like in terms of how they play and how they try and set up the first team. Yeah. That's not many.
It's not just that. They've been doing this for a few years now. To be honest, they've been trying to do it since Wenger's time. Even the women's team mirrors the way we play. It's throughout the whole of the club.
That's amazing. That is because that's why Arteta deserves so much credit.
He's transformed a lot.
It's him, isn't it? Like, let's be honest, because that's where the philosophy is coming from.
He signs the youth coaches, right, or directs to put in as the youth coach.
I heard I can't remember where this phrase come from, but Wenger built the current Arsenal.
Gonna block.
Arteta's turned the lights on. You know what I mean? Arteta's turned the lights on.
Yeah,
he's paid the bills. He's paid the bills, man.
That's a great analogy.
That's a good way to think about it.
He built that. He built in terms of a home. He built the home for Arsenal. He built that, and Arteta turned the lights on. It's so true. And he's got the power. He's got the place rocking at the Emirates. And oh man, we need to go back, man. We need to be back.
Yeah, we need to do that.
I've just yanked out my headphone set. Hold on. But we need to be back, man, before trophy 100%. Parade or something. The atmosphere, 100%. The vibes that we had. Big up yourself in the chat. The vibes we had. The Tollington, and it was so great. And so nice.
We met and found out the most famous player in the whole world is a gooner.
And me and Will were like,
David.
You right, mate?
Yeah, okay.
I want to get a drink. Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah. No, because Moss was being all shy and girly. And I went, hey, you call him David. You call him David. My boy likes you.
Yeah, and I'm like, right, Con, watch out of the way. We're trying to get a drink. Trying to get a fight. But that's crazy. That is mad. But that just shows how
And King was towering over all of us. King was there.
King's massive, man. He's
massive,
so tall.
I know. I know.
He should have been playing.
But I didn't want to, when I hugged him, I didn't want to let go. I was like, oh, he's so nice. He's so nice.
Yeah. Oh, man. He's crazy. I took a photo of him at the Wolves game. I look at that photo. I can't show it to Rich. If Rich and that see it, they'll think I am about 2 foot high.
I know.
Like that.
He's big, man.
It just makes you look short, man.
Yeah, it makes you look short. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I used to think I was a big man. I'm shrinking now, man.
Oh, man. But I really appreciate you guys. We're going to love and leave you now. I said I was going to finish about 20 minutes ago, but we just
exactly
like we always do. But it's great. It was great chatting with you, and it's great to spend this time with you all. We're going to love and leave you now.
Matt and Vibes and Matty G in the chat, everyone.
Absolutely, everyone. We love you all indeed. Hey, take care. Enjoy the rest of your Monday night, the rest of your day. What time is it now in CNA?
4 o'clock. Now I got to get some more work done.
Exactly. We'll let you get your work done now. Take care, people. Love and peace.
Adios.